stuff one shot at a time.
Welcome back to the Enjoy the Walk podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting times here in the atmosphere of golf. We've got professional golf back, Korn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour, all the tours. Just kidding, not all the tours, but we're back, Dante. We played down in Ocean City last week. I want to talk about that this week too. We got an exciting interview with Joe Jack, head of operations out at Asher Golf, coming up after our little chat. But dude, professional golf's back, and I got to be honest, fans or no fans, it didn't really much matter. I was just pumped to see the boys back in action.
Yeah, and to be honest, I watched a little bit of Thursday and a little bit of Friday. Didn't really catch the weekend because obviously I was out and about playing my own golf. Not as great as what you saw on TV. A lot much worse, but we don't have to get into that. But yeah, I mean, it was cool to watch. And honestly, as a golf fan, golf fanatic, you kind of didn't even really realize that if fans were even there or not. I mean, granted, it was a little bit quieter, but I think broadcasting kind of filled in those gaps as per se, like as if you would hear fans. I thought they did a pretty decent job on that aspect. So honestly, you just had no idea. You were just watching golf because you were excited
you
to
and
watch
I
live
talked about
sports.
that a little bit. It's not like golf's played in the raucous atmosphere that, like, you're missing the crowd noise that, like, if NFL comes back and won't play in a stadium, or college football comes back in the fall and doesn't play with fans, it's not like we were missing that kind of stadium noise. So other than maybe some guys hitting some errant tee shots throughout the week and, having a little bit longer of a look for them than normal, I feel like it was business as usual.
Yeah, it was. And I think it was for the viewer, it was business as usual, but they did interview some of the players asking, how was it with not fans? And Spieth, the mental head case that he was like, it was actually great because I was able to clear my mind a lot and like think through processes a lot easier without background noise. And then you had, I think Gary Woodland said that it was different because he didn't have the crowd cheers to get his adrenaline going. So he had to kind of go a little MJ and kind of dig a little deeper and just make up stories to get himself going. And then, some of the guys were just, it was like, whatever.
Can we talk about the no fan scenario possibly being the greatest possible scenario in which Jordan Spieth can make a comeback from his kind of, rut that he was in?
Yeah, I think so because, I mean, seems like he's a serious head case. And especially he was struggling too last season. So in order for him to kind of get his confidence back and get to that playing ability that everyone knows when Jordan Spieth came onto the scene, I think being able to play with no fans and having more of a clearer mind can help him get to that.
I think there was a lot of things going on swing work with him that he even talked about, like, he wasn't ready to, he kept using the phrase, I wasn't ready to debut it. I wasn't ready to show it to people. Like, I feel like he had in his mind, like, if he made the swing changes, people were going to talk about it and overanalyze it, which then in turn would have made him overanalyze it because he's already over analytical. So I feel like with no fans out there, he's probably more comfortable to make these swing changes, or at least like debut a new swing. It doesn't look that much different if he's made any swing changes. I tell you what has turned back on for him is the putter. His putting was absurdly good again this week, which is how he makes a living. When Jordan Spieth plays well, it's because he putts well.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
So
and yeah, that kind of makes sense too, because on the fan aspect, whether you know how to ignore them or whether they can get to you. I mean, granted, I honestly think, that one person will say something and then that'll kind of stick into your head. And if you're one person that kind of gets in your head already, and just that one person makes one little remark, that can haunt the rest of you around. So it's probably good for him to get his mind clear. And obviously, I guess if he's got swing changes going, they put those fully in effect and get comfortable out there, because honestly, a lot of the times golf is you do a lot better when you're more comfortable out there, and then the confidence kicks in. When you're confident, you're having positive thoughts, and positive thoughts make positive outcomes.
100%. Well, good T10 for him this, to start out the kind of comeback of the PGA Tour season. I hope to see, him play well the rest of the year. I just think he's good for the game when Spieth's out there competing. Also a T10 right there with him, bringing home a measly $181,000. Justin Thomas, he's always a force to be reckoned with, and cool to see him at the top of the leaderboard. But a guy you couldn't miss this week, and the media, I think, overplayed it. Bryson DeChambeau and his 40-pound, beefcake body. Now,
no neck Bryson. His neck is as wide as his head. He's massive.
I mean, let me just tell you, when Bryson was joking around, I don't think, and everyone thought he was joking around when he said he was going to put on some weight over the winter. Let it be known that when Bryson says he's going to do something, the man does it 110%. And he's infatuated with gaining muscle now. It might not stop at this. We might have Arnold Schwarzenegger DeChambeau by the end of the season. I think he's just going to keep piling on the weight.
The memes where they get other jacked people and they just throw his head on it is hysterical. But
my favorite meme from everything was if anybody watches SpongeBob and Muscle Beach,
gets all
the big lobster that's all jacked from SpongeBob with Bryson DeChambeau's head. That's a pretty accurate representation of the guy hitting bombs down the fairway.
Yeah, he was definitely hitting bombs, but you got to give credit where credit is due. That guy put in the work. He said he wasn't. I mean, he was hitting the bar far enough already for the tour average, and he's just I don't think I'm hitting it far enough. So I'm gonna hit the weights, and I'm gonna get fat. I'm gonna get bigger, and I'm gonna get faster club head speed, which he did. But again, which I didn't like, and we discussed too, and which you didn't like, is the way it was you turned on Golf Channel, it was Bryson's DeChambeau's 40 pounds of gain.
It's like the golf industry doesn't know what to do with someone actually working out and putting on muscle.
And then they're talking about how far he's hitting, and then we can get into this too, because I'll call him out again. I swear to God, they skew the numbers, because I was watching one and they're saying he's he was hitting all these drive. He was carrying everything over 320. But if you watch some of those clips that they showed, that ball's landing at 315 on the ground, but the number's still rolling.
Not even. There's a bunch of times you brought it up to me, so I started watching a little closer. It was now. Granted, I'm saying this only he's still hitting bombs. He's flying the ball 100%. Over 300 yards, but they're giving him an extra 15 to 20. Which just makes the numbers that much more impressive. But in reality, the ball's only flying 305, 310 tops. It's not flying 327.
No, and it's so annoying because they skew the concept of carry distance, and they add a little bit of roll in there to that carry, and it's the guy, he just hit it 327. Well, you know who else can hit it 327? Cameron Champ, DJ, Brooks.
Let's look at the top 10. Colin Morikawa, he bombs the ball, finished second place. You're looking T7, Bubba Watson, Gary Woodland. Gary Woodland pounds the ball.
So does Bubba. Bubba's been a long hitter for years, and he's a noodle.
Stats just aren't there because he doesn't hit the driver all the time. Bryson's the only one of the only ones in the top 10 that finished top 10 this week that was ballsy enough to just hit all these forced carries that was out there at Colonial too. People need to forget that as well.
What do you think of a driving distance statistic with just the driver?
It would completely skew the numbers of what's out there, because all these driving stats are off of every hole. And they really don't dive into, that guy was using 2-iron. That guy was using, maybe a 5-wood or something like that. Put it in play. So, it blows my mind how they love to skew the numbers just for some more, ad reads and some more wow factor.
That's all they had to talk. I mean, you got golf back, which is great. You got all these players coming back, and it just seems they are so tunnel vision on, they pick one player and they're like, all right, for the next 4 days, we're going to talk about this guy for the entire time.
And
Like
it
they did it with,
completely
they do it with Tiger. When Tiger comes back into a tournament, and he'll play Thursday, Friday, get cut and go home. And they'll talk about, during the entire weekend, they're talking about Tiger Woods. And then
it's done. Oh, it's over for Tiger. It's like, okay, let's not the tournament.
This weekend,
let's go.
This past tournament, it was the Bryson show. And it was, all right, let's talk about Bryson's game. And that's
now,
all
granted,
it was gains.
I will give it to them. He was in the top 5 all weekend long. So
that's true. Yeah.
They had a right to talk about top 5. But you know what it overshadowed? A 21-year-old almost winning the tournament. Colin Morikawa almost won the damn thing. And it lost in a playoff to Daniel Berger. Berger hasn't won in over 2 years.
And let's talk about Berger. Literally just got his tour card last year.
Yeah.
He got cut.
I mean, you want to talk about 2 phenomenal stories that finished 1-2? No, we're going to talk about the protein bars Bryson DeChambeau was probably snacking on coming down the stretch Sunday. Like, time and time again, we miss the freaking picture of the greater stories in golf for headline grabs. And it's classic media BS. But I'm over it. Whatever. On to the Korn Ferry Tour.
How many PB&Js do you think he has to eat now?
I don't want to talk about it. A lot of PB&Js. Bryson, if you're listening, how many PB&Js you snacking on? That's what I want to know. But anyway, Korn Ferry Tour. We saw a really, really, really familiar name win on the Korn Ferry Tour this week. Like we said, when we had Mickey on the show, we talked about him kind of being in his backyard out at TPC Sawgrass, the Valley course out at TPC Sawgrass, not the stadium course where they have the players, but a familiar name for anyone who really follows the tour, Luke List. He's actually a previous tour winner, I believe 2 or 3 years ago. But, you know, it was really cool to see a previous tour winner kind of come out of the woodworks. You know, we said somebody was going to win that we recognized, or completely a no-name. And it ended up being somebody we recognized that won out in the Korn Ferry Tour the first week back. But Mickey rocking in a solid top 40, making the cut, making a steady go of it for the first week back. So he's playing great golf. And I think I look to see him. I think he's going to compete here in the next couple of weeks as he brushes off a little bit of the competitive dust and really gets things flowing.
At Korn Ferry and PGA, there are some guys that you even saw. And Grant, I know a lot of the media and even the players are saying they were playing like a lot of money games on the side, kind of to keep that type of competitive edge. But yeah, some of those top players, the nerves got to him, and you saw it. And it sucks to see. Listen, we all don't want to hit bad shots. We want to hit good shots. But again, when you see a pro hit a bad shot, it kind of brings them a little bit more back into reality and kind of gives you kind of the avid amateur golfer, like, oh, it happens. You know, I do it, they do it, we all do it. And yeah, like I saw JT, he was like under a tree. Granted, he was kind of under a tree, but it seemed like he had a swing on it to try and pop it on, you know, like a little pitch shot into the par 5. He like top shanked it into the fairway, and he just like looked. It was like, what? He was so confused. It's just,
yeah. Some of these tour pros,
sucks.
We talked about it when we put down the clubs, even for the quarantine. The first thing that goes when you put down the clubs is short game, and I think we saw it, whether it was guys blading chips or whether it was, like you said, JT just really not knowing how to navigate kind of this little punch, touchy feely shot under a tree. The hands don't. You know, they haven't had it. You can practice all you want, but when you get around those like specialty shots, your hands just don't know how to operate, especially on a long layover like this.
Yeah, I agree. But it was cool to see those guys come back, and definitely see Mickey up in the. Hopefully he keeps the foot on the gas.
It's fun, man. It's like we talked about, and I was this weekend. I wasn't watching it. You know, obviously there wasn't the Korn Ferry Tour TV coverage, but I was refreshing the scoreboards on my phone. It was nice to have something to look at and to say that's live, and it's going to update, you know, every 5 minutes. You know, the leaderboards flip-flop and the leaderboards changing. And obviously with Mickey being in the mix, it's fun to have somebody to look for and to say, that's our guy, you know, that's who we're pulling for. And you want to see them move up the leaderboard when that leaderboard starts to, you know, move around come Sunday afternoon. So it
Yeah,
was so much fun to have live sports back, especially being golf fans.
And now, and like it being live sports where it's going to be a weekly thing rather than, oh, there's this exhibition where they got, you know, the okay to play. And it's just kind of, you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit with, you know, all this hoopla that's going on to hopefully get ourselves back to a reality here, which is cool to see. But yeah, it's awesome to finally see some live stuff coming through the pipeline now. So it's, you know, and that's what I even said to my dad. He's like, oh crap, yeah, I forgot golf's back on. Yeah, he's like pumped. He's like, oh, he was like, live sports, let's go.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's just there's good vibes. I think there's good vibes everywhere. You know, not only on the golf, you know, industry, there's good vibes in you know, the rest of sports. I think, you know, there's rumblings of schedules for, you know, just about every major sport, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, whether it's NFL, we're hearing major rumblings of just, you know, schedules being released or this being put together. So it's exciting to start to have, you know, everything back. And you know, you joined me down here in the Eastern Shore, and we got to eat outside at a restaurant
Dude,
that was open. You know,
weird. It was, you know what? That's what sucks too. Just go and say, wow, this is weird. Like when before it was just the thing to do. You go play around in golf, you go grab a bite to eat. I mean, I'll tell you this, for coming from New Jersey and then going down to where you're at, it's like a completely different world.
We've
just
we've
rolled
been
up.
blessed. We've been blessed with
Yeah.
Ocean City kind of breaking the norm and opening. For those who don't know, Ocean City, Maryland is primarily a resort town. Many of the businesses and just people in general rely on tourist income, you know, to make their living. So when we were shut down, there was a lot of talk about Ocean City, you know, kind of falling under, and a lot of businesses going belly up. So they made a decision to, you know, still practice social distancing, wear your masks. But a lot of places in Ocean City have that outdoor seating already set up because they're the beach, because they're the resort town. So they decided to open up, you know, a little bit sooner than the rest of Maryland, and it has proven to provide a really refreshing getaway for people. You know, everyone I think that has experienced Ocean City has been, you know, grateful of them opening their doors and respectful of the distancing, respectful of the masks when needed. They're happy to be out and about and get some salt air in their lungs and, you know, just have a drink outdoors. How great was it, Dante, to finish up our round at Lighthouse Sound and go have a beer?
It was fantastic. Just sit down. Hey, can I get so and so one of these? Sure, no problem. Crack it open. Here you go. And it's just cool because, like, you know, what sucks is, you know, you gotta respect it too. You know, people ask to wear the mask and whatnot, but all you see are these people's eyes, and then like you see like this fear, this like uncertainty. When we were sitting down at that restaurant, like sitting on that like cutout like deck, I mean, all you heard were just people talking, people laughing, and then you saw people smiling, and it was like cool to see. It was like it's nice, a breath of fresh air. It was cool to see. It was awesome. It was. I got me some fish and chips. I mean, when you're down on, you know, down in Maryland and you're ordering a burger, shame on you. Got some fish
I
and
mean,
chips.
hey,
We got that.
you can order a burger. Just put that
Yeah,
Maryland crab cake on top of it.
that too. Yeah,
Surf and turf
and
style.
then right, and then some rum punch. I mean, it was good stuff. I
It's a
mean,
great day,
it
man.
just felt it was refreshing.
We rounded out that absolute beating we both took on Lighthouse Sound. The wind was whipping about 30,
Wow.
40 miles an hour. We took a butt whooping out on Lighthouse Sound. I'll be the
Listen,
first to admit it.
we did get our ass kicked, but it made that 96-degree day with that, you know, ocean bay breeze whipping through, make it feel like 75
It did. It
degrees,
was
which was
crazy.
great.
At no point during the day did I think, man, it's 95 and like unbearable. Even
Yeah.
though every
And
temperature gauge was saying 95, it still felt that nice, comfortable 70-some degrees.
and I didn't have the issue with slippery, sweaty hands that day. I was pumped about that. I was a little nervous because I totally like forgot. I was like, wow, we're like in June. It's gonna be sticky hot, and I'm just gonna have a terrible day because my hand's just gonna slip off the club all day. And
Well, I mean,
I don't think
let's
I
let's
had.
get into that too, because you've talked about time and time again the issue with the tackiness, the issue with the having your secured grip on a club. You just ordered those Rue grips that we talked about a few episodes ago, and you put one on your driver. What's
I
the
did.
over under? How long is that going to stay on that club? Do you like it? Is it worth all the hoopla?
I think it's worth the hoop. I love it. It's worth the hoopla. It's worth the money. They are expensive. I mean, it's made from kangaroo leather. And my one buddy Eddie G, shout out to him. He made me feel bad. He goes, "Man, those poor kangaroos." And I'm like, "Dang, just so you can have a grip on your club." I'm like, "Dang, bro, you like legit just shot me down of how excited I was to utilize this." Because I mean, a lot of the Australian guys wear them or utilize them because it's so hot down there. And dude, I'll tell you what, this thing is tacky. You don't need a glove, and like you get like any type of moisture on the grip, it gets even stickier. And I mean, dude, I still wear the glove with it. When I'm in my follow through, and when you do like the half club twirl, or you just let it slide down. I can't do that. I have to like take my top hand, right? I take my top hand off the glove, and I have to pry off the
So borderline too
club.
tacky. Borderline too tacky.
With the glove, it's like too tacky. But for me, I'm like, this is great because I know down the road, if I'm playing on a 95-degree day and it's 100% humidity, I'm gonna need that.
So I'm really happy for you because it seems like this might be the end in sight of your tackiness issues. Now,
Maybe. So
it might
I
take
have
you a full season to afford a full set of clubs with these on them, but I'm
I'm
happy for you
yeah.
seeing the end in sight.
The test though is okay. So grip came in, check. Install, accessibility, check. Now it is a leather grip, so it's got the crossing, like where they stitch it together, because it's got that stitch. So you got to make sure installing it, you got to make sure like you flip it around and make sure that ridge is straight, because then you don't want that all crooked, and you can feel it in the fingertips of your hand. It's almost kind of like a line tool, like the Golf Pride ones where they have that aligned ridge in it.
Absolutely.
So it feels like that. So that's that's the one kind of gripe I have about it. But I mean, it's very, just make sure you align it up when you're installing the grip. But now so everything checks off. I like the tackiness and this and that, and the durability. No, durability is the next. I got to make sure to see how long those actually last. So if like that grip wears off like within seconds or something, I'm not forking up the dough for this grip. I'll go all rosin bag for now on and just have rosin all over my hands and shirt. I don't care.
So
Whatever
you're either
keeps the
going
hands dry.
the kill the kangaroo route or the look like a crack addict route. One of the two is going to work for you.
Yeah, I'm just a mess. And I'm going to be a mess in the future unless, hey, it's 100% humidity, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not playing today, but I mean, if I'm in New Jersey for a while, that's what it's going to be in the summertime. So I got to figure out a way to cope
the
with it.
last remedy is to find you a new home base, because a little less humidity, maybe a little more air in the winds can free you of these clammy hands.
That, or I'm playing at 6:30 in the morning.
We'll figure out something for you. But guys, I'm excited to, bring you the interview we have on deck. Like I said, Joe Jack from Asher Golf, head of operations. He takes us through everything within the company's kind of relaunch here within the last few years, and everything they represent as a brand, and things they're going to, dive into in the future. He kind of touches on some of the new releases they're going to have coming, and some of the new releases that they just released this week. So guys, excited that you can give that a listen. If you like the podcast, please give it a share, whether it's on iTunes or Spotify. And if you like it enough to leave us a review and a rating, please do so on iTunes. That would mean the world to us. Just, trying to share our love for the game, our love for walking the golf course and carrying our clubs one like, one love, one review at a time. So thank you guys for listening. If you want to check out more, go to www.enjoythewalkpod.com. Check out our latest releases, all of our merchandise, golf tees, and everything in between is on there. Hats are still available. We're running out, but we still have hats available. So guys, if you want to check that out, we have the dad hats, the OG trucker hats, the camo hats as well. So hope you guys can go check that out, support the brand however you may. And up next, Joe Jack from Asher Golf. With our schedules and his schedule, we're able to lock down a guy that just kind of, I think, expresses what we love about the game of golf, and the brand that he represents in the game of golf is just kind of laid back, having fun with the game, and just bringing a new kind of modern flair into the game of golf, in which we so desperately need. So excited to have Joe Jack on the show with us, operations at Asher Golf. Joe, how are things out there in Utah?
It's awesome. We finally decided to have some good weather. It's kind of a long winter with everything going on, but it's great. We're just out here cranking away and just trying to enjoy the weather and get out and golf. It's a little bit easier said than done, which in this case is a good problem. Means I'm busy doing other things with work. So.
Yeah, no, before you mentioned, before we hopped on, you mentioned you guys have been just absolutely balls to the walls busy with Asher Golf, which in any industry is a good thing, a gift and a curse at the same time.
Exactly.
Walk us through how you first got started with Asher Golf. Have you been there since the inception of Asher?
So I haven't been with the company since the inception, but I've actually been around the company since it started. It's actually kind of pretty interesting. So my background is sales and management, and there was a golf store out here in Utah that I worked at, did sales for a while, moved up as one of the managers. And back in, it's been probably 2000, I think it was right when Asher started, actually, in 2009. I got introduced. We had a guy come into the shop, and he's like, hey, Asher Golf, we're from Utah type of thing. And A, I love local brands. B, my thing always has been I hate looking like everyone else and fitting in like everyone else. I'm the kid that wore pastel pink pants if I would go out, just crazy things. So got introduced to Asher actually back then when I worked at the golf shop, and that's where I kind of found the company and fell in love with it. And then out of nowhere, the company just disappeared. All of a sudden I couldn't find the gloves and everything. Wasn't really sure what happened. And then and that's actually towards when they got bought by the current owner, Matt, and they came back in about 2017. And then funny enough, Matt also went to same high school as me, but he was a couple years older. So they had an ad out looking for someone to kind of run operations, and I was sick of doing sales. And so I applied, and that's kind of how I found myself there. So I wasn't there since the company started, but I've kind of been around the company. I've been a fan of the company since it was incepted, actually. So,
well, it's really funny you mentioned that kind of disappearance of the brand, because it was definitely something on our list that we wanted to talk about. And it's just kind of that thing, Dante and I saw you guys down at the PGA show. We saw your booth, and we thought, Asher Golf, where have I heard that before? We both knew we had seen it around the industry, but it wasn't something that was kind of prominent. And then just, meeting up with guys, we ended up playing with a guy from the Utah area the day after the show out at Dub's Dread in Orlando, Florida. And he was carrying an Asher Golf bag, had an Asher glove, and we kind of just, we just by happenstance got to dive in to, what is Asher Golf? What was it like for you guys to kind of, be a part of this resurgence of a brand that had, kind of fizzled off?
It's been wild. I mean, we when Matt took it back over, it's kind of a test to, behind every great company there's a great leader. I'm a very, very big proponent of that. And kind of when everything was brought back, he actually shut it down for a complete year, went through, stripped everything. He spent about a month and a half, 2 months actually overseas sourcing, manufacturing, everything. So top to bottom, got rid of the old logo. And then even back when I've been with the company about just a hair over a year now, actually. And even from when I started, this resurgence of the company has been crazy to watch. Being with a company that I knew before and seeing it where it was to where it is now, I mean, you hear people say every day it's, a night and day difference. This literally is such a big difference from what they were turning out all the way back in 2009. It's been really cool to see it grow and just see kind of the stronghold it's taken on the golf industry, if it be our own local or international presence. It's been really fun. And just kind of like you, as mentioned before, this last couple months, it's just been a wild ride. So it's awesome.
That's awesome to hear. And, talk about the beforehand, like what you knew Asher Golf to be before you joined it. What did it represent then? And is it still in some ways, shape, or form kind of representing, what it was founded upon?
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, Asher has kept that same ethos to the company. Before, one of the sayings, we've had a couple of sayings kind of since our inception. One is we like to say that we have a healthy lack of respect for the mundane. Now, kind of where that came from is, like I mentioned before, no one likes to fit in, white golf glove. That's kind of the standard in the industry. We went in and we saw, if you go into your sporting goods store, golf store, you have all these different clothing, club manufacturers, all these different things that made them stand out. But all of a sudden you go look at your gloves and it's just a wall of white golf gloves. There's a difference everywhere else but there. So we felt that there wasn't really a style. There wasn't a style, anything that set you apart. You couldn't even tell which ones were a better quality glove. I mean, everything, your Weather Soft looked just like your Pure Touch. Nothing really stood out. And so we thought that there was a way that we could do it better, better quality, better style, kind of everything. And that's the same exact thing that we have today. We still believe that there is a huge gap in the market that we believe that we have filled to an extent. We still think there's a lot of room to grow, but there's still that uniqueness. I mean, like I said, we believe Asher is for everyone because we want that person who wants that uncompromised style in that product. And we have everything for the people that want their basic white glove down to, like I said, that crazy design. So the ethos of the company has stayed the same, but we still want to bring a better quality glove at a better price point to the market, because who wants to buy a $40 golf glove? Let's be honest. It doesn't last as long as like a shirt. You're not going to go spend that same money. So we just wanted to be able to bring that to them. And it's been really cool to even see the changes the company has made, but still have that core value at the end of the day.
And that's really neat because I feel like when a company launches, a decade after, or I should say before, it's kind of rebrand in per se of what you guys took and flipped. There's a lot of loyalists out there that would say, I want to stick with this brand, and hope that they stick true to those core values. So it's really nice to see that, you guys still are out for the same kind of cause of creating something that's, truly unique and something that's not going to be easily replicated out there on the market. Or if it is replicated, it's replicated because you guys did such a good job of breaking that mold. And I think you're starting to see that too. You guys consistently, I think time and time again, come up with whether it's different patterns or just unique t-shirts, even away from the glove market, to kind of just, break the norm and make it cool to wear golf clothes, on and off the golf course.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, that's kind of a big focus. I mean, this next 3-4 months, there's a lot of really great stuff we have coming out that we really think it's going to shake up the industry and the market in general. So we're super stoked because golf already has a reputation for not being an inclusive sport. We wanted to be able to have that product that is inclusive to everyone. Like I said, if it be from a style standpoint or whatever it may be, we want everyone to feel like there's a place here at Asher. I mean, like I said, that's why even though our kind of core was nothing with a white glove, we have that white glove out there for someone with our own take on a white glove that we have. But, we wanted to give them, the people who want that white glove, we wanted to give them that quality that the industry was lacking.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you talked about it, a little earlier when you said you hit that white wall of gloves, and it was for years on years on years. I played, I think, junior golf since goodness, dating me here, 2002, 2003. And like anytime you would go to, whether it's a pro shop or like a Golf Galaxy or Dick's Sporting Goods, it was just all white. And I think it spoke to how drab the scene of golf was at the
Yep.
time. And we're starting to see people, across the board start, quote unquote, breaking the mold. And I think it's awesome what you guys are doing and not only putting bright colors to gloves, but putting patterns and everything like that. And, I think that's what I want to jump into first, because it's kind of what Dante and I both have our hands on, is not only the uniqueness of the gloves, but still the quality that's maintained. When I first put it on, and I think Dante can speak to this as well, it just felt, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like thicker than other gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And but so much more tackier. And Dante, I think you had kind of the same realization when you first put one on when we played together.
Oh yeah. So went down, met up with you, and I was like, oh, it was like the day before the gloves came in the mail, and I was like, all right, cool. And I like pulled it out of the package, which hats off to you guys in the packaging. It comes in a little Ziploc. So, because I carry a Ziploc bag with multiple gloves, and I've been told, and studies say that the glove lasts longer keeps it fresher rather than just wrapping it to, the back of your handle of your bag and just letting it crinkle and then it dries out and now it's basically lost its touch and now you need to go buy a new one. So I unpackage it. I'm like, all right, this packaging is pretty sweet. I was like it's easily reusable. I put on the glove and I'm like, whoa, like immediately felt a difference, because I'll tell you what, for the viewers and all that, I probably said this before, I'm 5'6", I'm like 155 pounds. I'm short, I'm a small guy. I have small hands, and finding gloves that fit and that are actually good quality and work and last is so hard to find these days. And I'll even say the top manufacturers, some of the top brands, found new manufacturers, and almost from their previous, from their original model, their new manufacturer, it's cheaper, it's weaker, and it just flat out sucks. And then the glove comes in, and I'm like, whoa, like this glove it feels thicker, it feels tackier, and I have a problem because since I have smaller hands, I need that extra grip, because once my hands start slipping, it's like game over, and then I'm just like I'm out, I'm done for the day. I'll hats off to you guys. I mean, like the glove came in, it was super tacky. I mean, I put the glove on and it was like sticking to my grip, and I was like, this is perfect. There
was legitimately an audible tack to it when I heard him grip the club, because I was hitting balls right next to him on the range. I was like, oh boy, I think we're in for a good round if that holds itself. And through 14 or 15 holes, he's like, dude, this thing's as tacky as when I broke it out of the bag. It was really awesome to see, because there's so many gloves that, they have that initial tack, and then 4 or 5 holes in, it loses it too. So talk to us a little bit, what kind of leather are you guys using, and what maybe sets it apart from the competition?
Yeah, so I mean, plain and simple is we use the highest grade leather out there. Other people, they just don't use it. We use the AAA Coretta leather. So all of our premium gloves are going to be the same thickness. And it's interesting you said it feels a little thicker. So it's one of those that's almost kind of like a ghost feeling. So it's actually mainly because depending on the dye you use, it'll actually make it feel thicker, things like that. But most other manufacturers don't use the same grade. And because obviously a lot of reasons, it's more expensive. It's sometimes doesn't hold up as long. And that's kind of the interesting, because anytime you're working with a natural animal product, there's always things you could run into. So that's kind of the first thing that really sets us apart, is it's just the highest quality leather out there. A lot of people, say they have a higher quality, but it's going to be your AA, single A, things like that. And that generally is what gets into your kind of your lower price point gloves. If it is a leather, it's generally one of those thicker that tends to have more hiccups in the leather in general. So there's that. And then kind of what you touched on, the sizing. So it's actually really interesting. We spent a lot of time researching sizing, because you have everyone who says they're cadet, and there are cadets out there, cadet sizes. I will not say that is a lie, but we actually found out that most people who think they're a cadet aren't. it's kind of a misconception. So there are people that are that true cadet, but we have a true to size fit. So a lot of people, like you were mentioning, kind of in your same boat, big, hey, like I'm a cadet medium large. What do you recommend? They try on a medium large, and 9 out of 10 times they're like, holy crap, like that's the first glove that's fit me. So we spent a lot of time in that. That's, I think it's the attention to detail which really sets us apart. Besides the material, is you don't have people who are putting that much time into thinking about it, even down to the packaging. Like you said, that's why we did a Ziploc bag, is for you can keep your glove, it will last longer. And we didn't want to just have some boring package. We wanted to make sure it's something you're actually proud of to keep. I mean, I have almost every one of our packages we've had, and eventually I'm going to make almost like a collage out of them, just because they are, I get them in and I'm like, these are just sick. Like, I don't want to get rid of this packaging.
I mean, I'll be 100% honest. When I first saw it, like for the people who are maybe listening on our podcast, check out our YouTube page, Enjoy the Walk podcast on there as well. You can see the packaging I'm holding up here. It's their premium collection Making Waves glove. And as an Eastern Shore rep and, loving the beach down here on the East Coast, I was pretty pumped to get this. But you don't even have to open up to really see what it is, because it's got the glove kind of already on there. And the same goes for their Canary Yellow. Holding up the packaging here with that as well.
That one,
it's just
sweet.
It is just so cool that,
it's awesome.
How many other companies, I don't think many at all, if any, are putting pictures of their gloves on the packaging like this. And, I can only imagine how well it reads, on a pro shop level. If you're putting these in a pro shop or any retail store, just kudos to you guys for doing that kind of packaging, because I think, yes, A, it looks good. But B, like you said, it serves another purpose. I can put that Ziploc bag in my golf bag and let it there, and can keep my glove fresh for probably 3 or 4 times as long as the competition in cardboard or other plastic, containers.
Exactly.
And going to the sizing aspect, and I'll be honest here, I was like reading the messaging back and forth, and
little hesitant.
Yeah. I was like, who is this guy to tell me I'm not a cadet small? He's probably small of fit. I'm like, this guy doesn't know my hands. Dude, I have like short, stubby fingers, and every glove that I purchase, I'm getting cadet small. And since small, he's like, we got small, it'll fit true to size. Like, trust me. And I was like, I don't know. I'll be honest. And then it comes in, and it fits. And I was like, wow. And like the glove at first is like a little tight, which is you're like, oh, okay. But what I was like, once that break-in period hits, it's going to be perfect, because I always think ahead, especially when it comes to shoes and especially golf gloves is, you put them on in the store brand spanking new. You're like, oh yeah, these fit. Well, let's think about once you start using wear and tear on the product, like you can get like a size 8 shoe and basically be like, yo, this fits nice and snug. Then come down after, say like golf shoes, 3 or 4 rounds and you're walking and they're fully like almost broken in, and that shoe's now like an 8.5 pushing 9 because it's stretched out. I always think that's me personally. I think ahead.
Unfortunately, I wish everyone did, because you definitely, you definitely run into that where, and that's just interesting in any sort of apparel company. You run into things like that where people are like, this is too tight. And then you're like, well, like, can you close it? Like there is a point where, okay, something is too tight and you're going to split it. But then you get a lot of people who are like, no, it's just tight. And I'm like, well, it's natural leather. It's going to stretch. Like, wear it a couple of rounds. It's going to fit perfect. Like, don't freak out and be like, I need to exchange for a bigger size. Cause then when they exchange, the biggest thing with gloves too, and like why we spent so much time on fit, is you will actually wear out a glove quicker if it's not the right size. If it's too big of a glove and you have extra fabric, it's going to create more friction. You can rip it a lot easier. So size is definitely a huge thing for us, and that's why we spent all that time. But I'm glad it worked out, because like I said, there are people who are that real cadet, but you just hope that it's not that one time that you're like, hey, like, you're going to be fine, don't worry about it.
So talk us through that a little bit. Since you guys have, kind of dove down that path of really figuring out sizing and what all goes into it, what would you say for people who maybe, might have been wearing the wrong size glove for their entire life even? Sometimes I feel like people get the wrong fit and just are comfortable with that fit, even though it might be a little loose or this, that, or the other, and are just, stuck with that size. How can people maybe find the proper size for them if they feel like they're in the wrong size glove right now?
The biggest thing is obviously, especially if you are bringing in other manufacturers into that, everyone's are a lot of the same, but all are a little bit different. I mean, from the stats from the research that I did by myself, kind of separate when I was doing some other things for our gloves, is 50% of golfers will wear the wrong size glove. Most times it is them wearing a glove that's too big, kind of like we talked about, because of the stretch. And I mean, the glove is the closest thing that comes into contact with your club. Obviously, it is. So it should fit like a second skin. And if you have any movement kind of between that glove, that could compromise, if it be a swing because your hand's slipping, but also ripping your glove. So really that's kind of my biggest advice to people is it should feel like a second skin. You want it snug where if it stretches a little bit like a new pair of shoes, it's still going to fit you nice and tight. Like I said, obviously it's a little bit of the common sense where if you can't even get it close with the Velcro, it's too small. So just make sure it's kind of like a second skin.
That's one of those things I always, Dante and I even talked about it when he put it on. I knew it fit him perfectly right away because he wasn't stretching the closing part of the Velcro to really force it to close, but he also didn't have it overhanging, almost an inch. It was perfectly kind of covered. Little Velcro was showing on the underside. Yep. So I was like, dude, that's a perfect fit. And I just knew it right away. And the same with mine, the men's medium, for me, just fit perfectly. And it's the same thing. Like I don't have to work to close it, but I also don't have so much left over that it's like, that there's just a bunch up of material. And I think that's the way it should be too.
It's like Cinderella putting on the glass slipper.
Amen to that. Couldn't have said it better.
When I try on gloves and I put it on, I make sure that the Velcro strap is actually kind of like half the Velcro is showing because I know when that break-in period, it's going to be fully attached. Well, I've seen guys walk out of pro shops and they grab a glove and they it's already all the way to the max tight. They got the entire half, like 3/4 of the flap overlapping. I was like, yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Yep. We've all been there. We've all done it in the past. I mean, we're all guilty of it. So no, it's that's the biggest thing. Like I said, that will be the quickest thing that leads to excess wear and tear or premature wear and tear actually. So
for sure. Yeah. And it's definitely obvious. I think, to at least, I think Dante and myself and anyone who really plays a ton of golf is like you said too, each manufacturer fits a little differently and you kind of just got to feel it out. If you're a medium in one manufacturer, you might not be, a medium in another manufacturer, and you kind of just got to go usually to find it and try it on at least once before you make a purchase. But let's talk a little bit, other than golf gloves. You guys also kind of dove into, the golf bag side of things, and guys had some pretty cool t-shirts and long sleeve tees that chasing birdies and stuff like that was pretty trendy here. What influences your guys's choices or kind of design aside from the golf gloves? How do you guys choose or pick and choose what you guys want to go into beside golf gloves?
It's interesting because really kind of one of the questions we ask ourselves is like, what do we want to wear on off the course? That's kind of a big thing for us is we believe that we speak for kind of the market that we're going for. So we're like, what do we want to wear? We talk with our friends, things like that. I kind of get some different ideas, and it still comes back to our central theme. We want to make it better. We want to kind of take something that may have been okay and make it great. I mean, especially like with our t-shirts, I think without trying to give too much of it away, the stuff that we have coming out in probably a month or so, COVID kind of did a number on those dates. But if you like the shirts before, you're going to the ones we have coming are going to blow your mind. But it's just kind of like, how can we do different cool things? That's kind of where our ideas come from. We get a lot of inspiration just from other brands, other people that we're friends with, just things like that. Just always having to ask yourself, like, what do I want to wear? And that's kind of proven to be our best element when it comes to design, just by asking us and asking, the other guys we're out on the course with. And we just, I know sometimes it's a little of lightning in a bottle too, but it's never changing process. So that's kind of where our designs come from. But yeah, it's like I said, I just can't wait for the stuff coming out to show you guys.
We're definitely excited to see it. I know I see you wearing a Link Soul sweatshirt there as well, and you guys kind of remind me of that just in the way you guys approach the game in just a laid back atmosphere. And you know, I mean that in all, you know, love, because I love Link Soul. I love everything they do. You know, John Ashworth out there just kind of, I think, embodies on the West Coast what Dante and I love about the game on the East Coast. And it's just those guys love the walk. They love the heritage of the game. They love the reason we all play. And I think you guys have been diving down that path too. You know, I think with just the kind of the things you produce and it's quality over quantity with you guys. And, you know, it's all about enjoying the game and loving the game for what it is. And I think, you know, the more and more you guys produce things, the more you just see every time you release, you can tell it's with care and it's with a lot of attention to detail. So just kudos to you guys that, you know, you guys are getting back in the game like that in the way you guys are. I think the approach is just really commendable.
Yeah. And we really appreciate that, because that is kind of our whole focus. Is it's some days, you know, I think we're like a link. We have kind of that Link Soul vibe, like you said, but we have a little bit of an edge added to that. Like I said, our whole motto, healthy lack of respect for the mundane. You know, we believe if you look good, you feel good, you play better. That's kind of another one that we've had since inception, 2009. But essentially, it kind of reflects with who we're friends. You know, we're friends with all the guys out of Link Soul. We believe that golf has gotten to a point, well, that everyone is just trying to, you know, kind of a dog-eat-dog world, where we think that this, you know, it's a game of unity. That's why, like, a lot of people, we do a lot of collabs with other people. You know, we released a women's collab with Foray Golf last year. We did a Dormy workshop glove this year. Link Soul True. We try to kind of have kind of that collective of friends who are like-minded to kind of help move this game forward. Because if you go about this game by yourself, it's, you know, it's a short road in the industry.
We agree, and we talk about that all the time on and off air. I think, you know, the way we grow the game and the way we've experienced the game too is, you know, the way golf is truly, I think, experienced with overall joy is you go to the course, and whether you're playing by yourself or with a bunch of buddies or even strangers, you guys end up being one full collective by the end of the day, all striving for one goal, and that's to get this little white ball into this little cup that no one can seem to perfect. And it's that kind of unity that we all gather around and say, you know what, if you're willing to come out here and struggle with me or alongside me in this endeavor, then you know what, I have a lot of respect for you. So I think it's that kind of unity with the brands like you just mentioned, Link Soul, True Links, Asher Golf, all you guys. I think there's just a common goal for the better of the golf industry right now, and it's a really cool trend to see.
Well, thank you. Really, like I said, I really appreciate it. Just golf's a game that can be loved by everyone, so why try to not make it as inclusive as you can?
100%. Now I got to ask, you know, you guys are out in Utah. What do you guys see within kind of the, you know, the local Utah golf industry there? You know, is there almost a brand pride to Asher, an attachment to Asher, and you know, from Utah, where do you guys really see your brand growing and trending here lately?
You know, it's interesting. The Utah market is good for us, but honestly, kind of starting off, we almost have better traction outside of Utah, just because Utah is an amazing golf culture. But for whatever reason, it took a little bit longer to kind of get everything fully rolling in Utah. I think sometimes people think of Utah and they think of, you know, there's all sorts of assumptions that come out of Utah. So sometimes it's hard to kind of get over those. But as far as like kind of where the brand's going, we actually have a great international presence. We are all over the world. We can truly say that we are an international company. It's growing like crazy with courses out here, but we've honestly seen a huge jump in, you know, Canada, over in Asia and Korea and Japan. So it's really cool to see how it's growing. And like I said, kind of with those different friendships we made along the way, that only has been able to help us continue to expand and kind of keep growing it everywhere. So
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that's really neat too. And a side of things, I especially us, I don't think we knew, even seeing your stand down there at the golf show this year, how international you guys were and what those other international markets looked like. What does some of those markets look like golf wise that maybe a lot of people here in the States maybe just don't know or don't understand about, whether it's the Japanese market or the Chinese golf market? Is it alive and well as it seems to be kind of budding and, really, really flourishing right now in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, especially over in Asia, it is one of those things that I think has always is really flourished, even going through everything. It's almost like it's kind of underground flourishing, because over here in the States, we don't really see how much it's flourishing over there. But having said, like I said, working for a golf retail store before, we still got a lot of international customers. It truly is really just booming out there. I mean, over in Japan and Asia, just everywhere, it's crazy. They love their colors, which plays kind of well into us. But it's everywhere is alive and booming. It's been interesting. I think everything that's gone on from COVID side is actually really helped golf, where like the trend that we've seen, at least out here in like Utah and some of the other states, is courses have been packed and they've been having more rounds than they had the year before. I mean, the only downside from a wholesale standpoint was pro shops were closed. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't really sell anything to them, but golf is flourishing. And over there, I think there's a lot to be learned from over in Asia when it comes to the golf side of markets and things like that. It's a really cool culture around golf. I want to get over there and kind of go just dive into it, because I think there's a lot to learn actually.
Speak a little more on that, because I've heard this kind of, I guess now it's starting to become this kind of collective answer of we have a lot to learn from that market. What do you mean by that, as far as, what do you think maybe a thing or two that the United States golf market or just the golf industry in general can kind of take from, the Asian countries and bring back and start, meshing in with our culture over here?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing over there is kind of the design aspect, and that they have a lot more emphasis on, if it'd be like their gloves, some of those other pieces that they're adding to it, where over in the States, sometimes I think you see it on the course, how people are dressing, things like that. Over there, like, it's almost more important, like how you're dressing and what you're accessorizing and how you look is more, and, even down to their clubs. I mean, as you guys know, Japanese model clubs are nuts sometimes, like they are crazy, but that's something that I really think that we could learn a thing or two from here. I mean, I think sometimes us over in the States aren't the best dressed, and I think that's something we can really take. That's the thing I love from the design aspect, just the things they love. I mean, they love their custom. I mean, we've done stuff. We did a custom glove for Beams Golf, which is all huge over there, and that's a side that our US side is starting to slowly tap into all of our custom stuff we do. But I just love the design and like the attention to that detail. I had one customer I was emailing back and forth, and he had bought in 8 different gloves, because he's like, oh no, like I'm going to literally use these all within like the next like 8 rounds. It just depends on my outfit. And I'm like, that's awesome.
That is fantastic. And, just kind of shouting out the selection you guys have. I mean, you have over, I think it looks like 12 different collections just on your website currently, patriotic collections, premium collections.
Just launched that one today, actually.
Yeah. I mean, these are awesome. And it just speaks to, I mean, the variety you can wear with different outfits. And I think it just goes back to what you were saying, that I think that, the foreign markets do pay maybe a little more attention to that. They like matching everything. And I'd love to see that flow back into our side of things, just not only in the golf gloves, but I think you're going to start seeing more custom availability on shoes. You're going to start seeing more custom availability on belts. We talked to Next Belt a few weeks ago, and they were talking about the lines they were bringing kind of inspired from the Japanese Asian market, and how they were so excited, post this kind of COVID launch messing up their schedules as well. Excited to launch some really cool, bright, fun looking things, but still having that high attention to detail. So I'm really excited to see what you guys have coming down the pipeline, because it's already, really impressive. And the line you guys just dropped today, there's so much detail in it. And it's really astounding how much detail you guys drop in a single glove. So, where can people find you other than maybe pro shops and things like that to get a hold of you? Is it just ashergolf.com, or, what's the best way to get a hold of some product?
So ashergolf.com is the best and easiest way. That's where you can kind of get everything that we offer. We ship internationally. And as well, like I said, we're slowly starting to pop up in other places. Up in Canada, Golf Town, which is kind of their giant golf retailer, is going to be carrying us in the next, we're just kind of getting some of the last pieces together. So a lot of golf shops are slowly starting to get us. But if you want the full collection, everything that we offer, and also with everything we do a lot of limited releases. So ashergolf.com is by far the best place to get that and to make sure you can get some of those collections that you see on Instagram, and want to make sure it's not gone.
Yeah, I'm sure, especially these special releases here, they go quick. So definitely check that out, guys. Like he said, ashergolf.com. Also give them a follow at ashergolf on Instagram. They keep a pretty lively Instagram feed there as well. So always fun to watch, like you said, your latest releases and kind of just seeing, kids and families just all enjoying your product. So Joe, really appreciate the time tonight, man. And, excited to see, hopefully, the launches coming down the line here over the summer, and, pending whatever the climate looks like next spring, maybe we'll see you down at next year's PGA show.
Oh, you'll see us. Don't worry.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for the time, guys. That's Joe Jack from Asher Golf. Go follow them. Go give them a look. I guarantee you, Dante and I can both kind of approve for you. You will not be disappointed in the quality of their products.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a good evening.
That's the stuff. One shot at a time.